Hello, everyone. It's Robin and Heidi bringing you Athena in Truth. Today, we thought it would be a good idea to kind of just give everybody that isn't aware of some background on Robin. We're going to ask her some questions about her whole experience with Athena coming in, how that felt. We just have a lot of questions for Robin, and then obviously for Athena in Truth to answer about how it is this whole process works through Robin and where they're from. So hopefully that will give everyone some information that um, will be informative and good to know. Hi, Robin.
Hi,
How are you
Heidi.
this morning?
I'm
Good.
good. It seems odd to have me be the one doing the talking right now.
Yeah, I bet it does. You're going to actually have to talk for yourself today, like I have to.
That's right. I'm going to have to leave the ums out and talk like a regular interview.
Yeah. So I would like to start with take us back to when you were doing a lot of breath work. And I remember you calling me up and saying, and I didn't do as much breath work as you, but I remember you calling and saying, when you do breath work, do you have this weird thing happen or this happen? There were
Mhm.
some strange occurrences going on. So why don't you let everybody know like what was happening with that and how it started to evolve for you?
Okay. So the breath work was probably a byproduct of like many years of just like you, really interested in spirituality, doing a lot of book reading, a lot of research, trying everything. I mean, you along with me, we dipped our toes into Scientology. We did those heated saunas for whatever it was, many weeks
Hmm.
on end. So we were
Yep.
always, the two of us, on that same journey of trying to learn more and trying to figure out who we are, what we are, and why we're here. And I always tried a lot of different practice. I had done breath work in Chicago. My son got me a gift there one time for my birthday, and it was
Hmm.
the really difficult kind of breath work where you have to pant and breathe really rapidly. And I did have some experiences, like some definite like chakra openings and feelings that were
Hmm.
new to me. And I knew that it was really a great benefit to do that if you have some things held in your body that you want to release. But I remember thinking, I don't know if I'll do this again because it was so much work and uncomfortable. I mean, you're basically
Hmm.
panting rapidly like a dog for an hour. It's a lot of work, you know.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then my son Mike was a very caught up and interested in that platform where people talk. What is that called? The one that you listen to on the radio. I forget the name of it. People are on there from all over the world.
Yeah, I can't remember either, but I remember you telling me about it. Yeah.
Oh, Clubhouse. That's what it is.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that's it.
And so he's into music, and so he would go in a lot of music rooms. And sometimes in the evening, if I wasn't doing anything, I would see him online, and I'd think, well, I'm going to pop in the room that he's on. Sometimes maybe he'd be talking about music or whatever, and it was just kind of a fun way to see your son, when you were at home and they're
Hmm.
further away from you. And this particular night, there was a gentleman that was talking to the group, and even though he was talking about music, I find that a lot of musical people don't realize that they are channeling their music. It's why they have
Hmm.
these inspirations to do
Yep.
these great things. And so he was talking about breath work and how it really transformed his life. And I thought, well, maybe I'll try that again. This kind of gave me the idea because I remembered doing it. So I went online and I looked it up, and I'm going to give this girl a plug because I thought it was that good. It was called pushingbeauty.com. And she's really a wonderful person that does a breath work, but she does it differently. It's just like this really easy in and out. There's none of that rapid breathing, and she kind of talks to you through the whole thing. I think it was
Hmm.
$10 for 3 sessions. One is 10 minutes, 15, and then 20 minutes. And I
Hmm.
started doing those in the morning and at night. And what happened initially was like my head would go back, I'd be laying down and my mouth would be wide open. And sometimes it would be like I was screaming. And that's what it felt like. Now I didn't let the noise out, but it was definitely like an outpouring that was coming out. And again, I didn't really have any experience with it. I didn't have a coach there while I was doing it. So I didn't really know what was happening. Now looking back, that was the group. They were there.
Hmm.
So did the breath work facilitate that? Or was that just an opportunity for them, where I maybe came into alignment kind of in my plea for wanting more confidence and wanting better understanding of myself. Those were
Yep.
always are in the back of my mind, but it just kind of progressed from there. So I did it like maybe 10 minutes in the morning. And sometimes if I had time, I did it 10 minutes in the afternoon. And I just started feeling better and better. Every time I did it, it just felt like this release. There was always a lot of like eye leaking, like water. And I think that's a sign of when people are going to start channeling. Now I've read more about it. This is one of the things that people notice. If they're meditating, your eyes will just leak continually. And so I had that going on, and I still didn't put it together. And I would say maybe it was a 10-day breath challenge, and maybe around the 8th, 9th, or 10th day, my hands started to move. I started doing mudras, which I have never studied mudras. I don't know anything about them. I think that's when I started sending you recordings of some of them. And actually, when I showed them to my husband, he goes, he didn't want to see it. He goes, it just kind of freaked him out. He didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was either. And those just kind of progressed. It was just a lot of that, really rhythmic stuff I couldn't even do. I'm not even a very good dance person like you, Heidi. So for me to do that was not me at all. And I still hadn't put it together. I didn't know what it was. Then I start fishing around online and reading, and they say that mudras are just gifted to you. And I don't know if people knew this, but originally yoga started the same way. People just started doing yoga positions automatically. And then other people liked the way that it looked and felt. So then it began to be a teaching. But initially, yoga just happened the same way. And it's kind of from spirit is where it comes from. And so that was going on for a while. And then it just progressed. And what was in my hands started to be more in my shoulders and in my body. And then I think I was recording and kind of showing some of it to you and couldn't really figure it out. And then one particular day, I just felt like the only way I can describe it is something breathed me. It was like I was taking a breath, but I didn't do it. It was like a great big deep breath. And I sat up and I just felt this overwhelming power and sense of confidence. And in my head, the words said, this is what it feels like to be confident. How do you like it? How do you like the way this feels? And so again, I think I'm imagining this. I don't know what it is. It was Athena. Now I know that, but I didn't know it at the time. And so this is kind of how it unfolded. And then I did have a friend who was a channeler. You know her too, Jackie Nelson. And I've known her for like 20 years. And so I decided to book a session with her because the strange happenings that were going on, I was trying to figure them out. And she told me right away that there was a group of 7 at the time that were trying to communicate through me. And that the first one was calling out his name as Jeremiah. That was said to her. And then she said there's another one with a very odd name. She said something CASS, something. She couldn't bring it up exactly. And then I would say several more weeks passed after that. And we went on a little visit to Fort Lauderdale where my son met us. And we were sitting out on the porch and I had told him a little bit about what had been going on and what Jackie had told me. And as soon as I started to talk about it, right away, I felt my body, involuntarily moving. And I just like to put out there to everybody that might sound like that would feel really strange, but it doesn't. It feels just like you're moving, but you're not moving. So it feels so natural that's the biggest thing I would say about channeling is it's not going to be all that different. And I think that's why I kept missing the signs because it feels like you, but you're not thinking of doing what it is that is happening. That's the only way I can explain it. And so when he saw me move a little bit, he said, well, if somebody's in there, why don't you come out and talk? And that's the Jeremiah came through. And I thought at first he was the first, but Athena made it known that she was the one that did the breath in me. And then so she claimed herself as being what she calls the speaker of the house, or the one that she kind of culminates the consciousnesses. Now there's over 10 that she can merge together with those consciousnesses. And then she does the communication through her voice. And you've experienced Jeremiah. It's quite a different than what she has. Once in a while he comes out, just depending on the energy that I am meeting with. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a background. Now in the beginning, I can't even stand to look at the recordings. I'm sweating like crazy, jerking all over. I look like I'm giving birth, for God's sake. It doesn't look like anything pleasant. And I just thought, is this how it's going to be? How can I possibly ever let this out? I was sweating. I had brought clothes in a suitcase and I went through most of them in the first day because I would just get soaking wet. It was so much effort. And then, of course, coming home after that, it was really a tough 2 or 3 weeks because my voice box got really sore, and they have a lot of volume, which I don't have volume in my voice normally. So that was
Yep.
really kind of a stress or strain, but I feel like they did manipulate my voice box. Something happened where when they're in, I'm capable of what much more strength and volume in my voice than what
Mm-hmm.
I thought. And so that's when you really realize that whatever is you and whatever is them is really what's making your voice and the power of your voice too. It's not necessarily a mechanical thing like one might think, you know. And so,
Yeah.
then I started to think my life is over. I can't do my laundry. I can't visit with my family. These people are talking day and night, and it really felt overwhelming. I mean, I just felt like, I thank goodness when I told you about it, you accepted it and didn't think I was crazy, because I didn't really have anybody that I could talk to about it aside from my kids and my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then I realized finally after 2 to 3 weeks in it, that the reason they were talking all the time is because I was thinking about them. And I'm what's called a fully merged channeler. And what that means is they're always in here. Like right now, she could speak. She's
Yeah.
right with me.
Yeah.
And so as I think about them, their consciousness gets peaked and they want to push mine out and come in. That's how it works. So
Yeah.
obviously the first 3 weeks when I got home, it was so new to me and I couldn't think of anything else. It was on my mind continually. I'd open
Yeah.
my eyes in the middle of the night and I think, oh my God, there's people talking to me. And then, there you are in the middle of the night with it going on. So
Yeah.
now as a year and a half or 2 years have gone by, I don't think about them every day. And sometimes I'll go
Yeah.
3, 4 days and they won't talk. But the
Yeah.
minute I have a thought about them, oh, I wonder, they've been kind of quiet, or I might be at a function with a bunch of people that I don't know that well. And I might have the thought to myself, I wonder what they think of what I do. And then right away they'll like, oh, let's tell them. So
Oh, yeah.
so I understand now that it's thought provoked, so I can kind
Yeah.
of control it. So that gives you a background or a little bit of understanding how it happened for me. Now, after speaking to Jackie, who's a good friend of mine, she has these facial contortions. The way I look when
Mm-hmm.
they're in and they talk, and the way my mouth goes, and
Mm-hmm.
twitching of the nose is always like a big sign when they're in. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
twitching, and I have seen this on other channelers. So there are some similarities or a lot of likes when you look at certain channelers. You can see that when their group is in, this is done this way. Not to say it always has to be. I have the choice of pretending not to be a channeler and just having some good stuff to say. A lot of people do
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
But I just didn't feel I wanted to do that way. I just feel like we're in a level of consciousness right now where people should know that this is possible and that they are channeled
Yes.
too, or they wouldn't be in the bodies they're in.
Yeah.
And so if I don't really let out the way that it is, I feel like it's kind of limits people to what they can believe. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's why for me, I've decided. Now I understand that some people who are professionals, maybe you're already coaching, or maybe you're like Tony Robbins. I'm told he's somewhat of a channeler too, but doesn't really
Yeah.
put that forward. And maybe it just doesn't make sense in your business that you already have created, because
Right.
you limit yourself to the people that can believe or hold what it is you're doing.
Right.
But for me, you know what? I'm just a regular person. I didn't go to college. I was not in the corporate world. I was a mother. I assisted my husband running our business. And so I don't have anything. I don't really need the recognition on me personally, because I'm at a pretty good place in my life where I've got my grandkids, and I'm pretty happy where I am with what I have, and all. Not that it isn't nice to be successful at what I'm doing, but it's not like the biggest priority to me, or the thing
Right.
that's most important to me. I really do enjoy helping people, and I enjoy doing this with you because
Yep.
fun that we can work together. And this is
Yeah.
the perfect way that I would envision it if
Mm-hmm.
I were to envision it, and I have, because you're here. So,
Yeah.
so that's the long story short, kind of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So before they came in, what did you know of channeling, or books you read or practices you did? What I know you have a friend, Jackie, we both know, that channeled a group of spirits. But what was your background as far as outside of her,
Okay,
with
so what I
channeling?
really
What you
understand, and again, I can never say for sure that this is what precipitated what happened to me, or if this happened to me because what was going to happen to me was going to happen to me. I used to say,
Hmm.
I don't know if it's chasing me or I'm chasing it, but
Yeah.
I did have a full Kundalini rising, and I know I've shared that with you. And it
Hmm.
was probably one of the most remarkable things I ever experienced in my life. And it's
Hmm.
where you hear and see and feel every single chakra take off and spin, and
Hmm.
feel the rise as it goes through and
Hmm.
breaks through each one of the energy centers. And I
Yep.
feel like there was a 2-year period of really a lot of cleaning out, a lot of upheaval. Didn't even really know what it was, but sometimes just crying for no reason. And that's not really in my personality to do that, but it didn't feel horrible. It just felt like I was expelling something or getting rid
Hmm.
of something. And so I had that. And so once I had that experience, that was sent me on another quest. I must have read every book you can ever imagine on Kundalini rising. Now I'm going to throw out another name to Tara Springlet. Her name is, I think she's from Canada. She has the very best books ever written about Kundalini risings, and I'd read a lot of them. And so it really explained in there that the whole reason for Kundalini rising is to make way for channeling. It does precipitate this. And so I don't know if that maybe gave me the hint or the sign that this was coming. That's a start. It kind of revs your energy a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it kind of empties you out. It gets rid of a lot of karma and a lot of stash that you have in your body. And
Yep.
so I think that might have been part of it. And I did read a book by D. Long, capital D, small e, Long, I think it was, called Ancient Teachings for Beginners. And I did do his practices in there. And that's when I experienced the Kundalini rising. Again, whether it rose because of that or it was going to rise on its own, I don't know. From what the group tells me, everybody's got your own path. And you listen
Hmm.
to other practitioners about what they're drawn to do. Some want to be in silent retreat, some want to meditate, some want to do Kundalini breath work, some want to do chakra work. And you know what? Really, there's a key inside of you. And if you're drawn to doing that, then that's what you should do. So when people want me to put in the book, we are writing a book right now, how they can become a channeler, it's really an intricate map within yourself that you have to be able to trust and follow your own interests, your own desires. You might stumble onto your own through the practices of someone else, but
Hmm.
to really pay attention what it is that you are drawn to innately
Yeah.
to do, and then that's the key for you that will unlock that door. And that's really what kind of the whole life is about, is that really trusting and following inside of you what it is that you're called to do. Because I'm finding out more and more as this goes on, there is a journey and a path that's yours, and it's created
Hmm.
long before you come here. And the emotions and the desires that you have are calling you and pulling you to it. You get that negative emotion when you're moving away, you get that really positive feeling when you're getting closer. And so it's not random like you think. This is going to unfold, but you have to have the trust and the patience and the knowing that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. So, what does it feel like for you now? I know you mentioned at first it was a little difficult with the sweating and the adjusting of your body. But what does it feel like now when they come into your body? Um, does it feel pretty normal, different? How does it feel?
It feels pretty normal. I don't always like how I look, but I'm getting over that. I
Hmm.
see some of the facial expressions, and of course, I'm getting older too, so that doesn't help matters any. It's kind of fun.
Hmm.
But um, it feels good. I love them. I don't how else to put it. I love the truth. I think what I'm learning too is everything that you draw to yourself, whether it be a channeler or anything else in your life, is a match to you. And so there's a part of me that is Athena. It's not really
Hmm.
showing up so much in this lifetime because I've kind of cut myself off from that confidence
Hmm.
from some
Hmm.
of the life experiences that I had as a child, being a little chubby and overweight and getting picked on, things like that. And so, but I knew that existed just by some of the things I would try or I would do that normally a person without any confidence wouldn't do that. So I knew it
Hmm.
was there. And then the Cassandra is the one that does all of the light work, and she does all the mudras and healing and hand signals. This one, that kind of is very much a part of me, kind of like it is with you too, where you like the natural healing, you like the
Hmm.
looking for natural modalities to heal yourself, always looking to help other people in any way you can with that. And so, you know, and then the Jeremiah, I have that side of me that's like no nonsense,
Mm-hmm.
how it is. So I think that in my opinion, and the group kind of confirms this, is that a channeler does draw to themselves the pieces of consciousness or the experiences of consciousness that are a match to you. And so in my case, and I know we're probably getting ahead and we're going to get to this question, who are they, what are they, and where did they come from? In my desire for more confidence and for more power and for more ability to heal myself and others, then I drew to myself pieces of the whole, because everything is that had life experiences where they were very powerful in these places or points that I just mentioned. And so Athena is the perfect consciousness, the representation of the Athena, the god, who was a woman who really was as powerful as a man. And that's why they use that analogy that she came out of the forehead of Zeus. I don't think she really came out of his forehead, but her mind was that of a man, even though she was a female and she had that female side to her. And so I think that these pieces of consciousness, or these, because even when you die, Heidi, or when I die, I don't like to call it dying, when we transition or leave this plane of existence and we go back into all that is, because there's only one thing, all that is, that individuality remains. It never goes away. It's not ending. And it can be called forth by anyone or anything. If it wants to respond, it can. And that's basically the best explanation really that I've heard from a channeler about who they are, because many channelers get asked who they are, what they are, where they're from, and people who are channeling kind of don't know how to really answer that. And it's to get the understanding that there is one thing, it's oneness, and we are all a part of that in all that is. And even though we're relating here right now in the human form that we're in, there is a part of us that is in all that is. And so as I made that call, that piece answered. It doesn't mean I am Athena. It means I'm experiencing that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
So I know in the past, obviously, with the adjusting, there were challenges. Do you still have challenges from the group being a part of your life? Would you have any that you'd like to mention?
Well, if I would lay down, like, of course, in front of my husband, it's fine. There's quite a show that goes on. Like, you know, my body, the shoulders just go every which way, the arms fling every which way, then my mouth will be pulled. I don't know why they like to do this so much, but if ever they're permitted in the body, they really like to move it about. And once in a while I do that. Maybe I should do it more often. I think it is a good, what do you call it? Like they're coming in, it's more of an occupancy, or gives them more freedom express. And, you know, like when I do my spin bike, they love it. Why? I don't know. They go wild on that spin bike when the music's going, and I think, oh God, no, I better walk in my house while I'm doing my spin. So, you know, but it's kind of funny. And I guess this brings me back to humans and conditioning, because, you know, if you expose yourself enough to something, it becomes normal. And that's why a lot of people don't want their kids exposed to certain things, because they know that if they get enough of a certain thing, it's not going to seem not normal to them. And they're going to just accept that as their reality, as their normalness. So I would say basically that's what's happened. I've just kind of accepted it now, that this is the new normal.
Yeah. Well, and I would think too that, you know, there's that component of physicality that they get to experience when they're in you. So that's probably why they're so excited to move the body around and do things, because they're experiencing something they are not able to experience there.
Yes. And, you know, I get asked the question, what about your private moments? People always want to know about that. They're very honoring of that. There's no, you know, like between my husband and I, or if I'm showering, or I feel like I'm having a private moment, it's a private moment. I don't feel as though I'm being violated, or I always have the option to say not now or no.
Yeah.
You know? And in fact, when I'm engaged in something, they don't even come forth. So obviously, if I'm in an intimate situation, I'm not going to be thinking about the group, so they're not coming forth. I mean, I think it's important to answer that question, because people wonder about it. So that's good to know that they're not coming forth unless I invite them by the thought of them.
Okay. That's nice. I think that's comforting to know, especially if you're somebody new to channeling that and it's happening to you. You know, it's nice to know that you still can have your privacy
Yeah.
if you
Like I
need it.
said, in the beginning, not so much because
Yeah.
I didn't realize it because it was all new and I kept thinking about it. And then
Hmm.
finally, whenever I pose a question, like really think about something, that's when those podcasts come out or recordings come out, or sometimes the YouTube topics come up.
Hmm.
And I was posing the question, like, what are you guys doing? I mean, day and night here. And they go, well, you're the one thinking about us. Stop thinking.
Right.
And then we, because they're so tightly interwoven or engaged within me
Yep.
that the minute I think, they're in,
Yep.
you know.
Well, that's nice because I know we've experienced, both of us have experienced channelers where the transition period is quick and so seamless. So it's nice
Yeah.
that you can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it this way because I could be taking care of my grandkids, and then they could pop in and say a few words and I'd be right back to what I was doing. I could pick up a phone
Mhm.
call, go right back and not forget where I was. The only problem I have sometimes, I think it's getting a little bit better, but if people ask a question in too many parts or they keep rambling for too
Mhm.
long and then topic to topic to topic, I myself feel as Robin that I have to start holding or
Mhm.
embody that information. And that causes me to start to slip in. And then sometimes Athena will have to say, I need you to repeat that question because she has to get me
Mhm.
back out because I had a thought of,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I usually try to tell people, let's just do them in one, as much as you can in one. It's fine if they're giving me some background about one situation and it takes a while. But if they ask like 5 questions in a row, that can be a little bit problematic at times. And I'll just have to back up and have her ask again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So do you think this is a good time to let Athena come in and
Yep.
discuss from their perspective um, some of the questions that we looks like looks like they're here?
We have been here the whole time. We've
Yeah.
been pretty courteous. We didn't yank Robin's nose or pull her every which way. We sat and waited our turn, Heidi. What do you think of that?
I think that was great. It was nice to have Robin talk. I think she did a great job. No, no, not too many ums.
Uh,
Sounded really good.
uh, thank you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, first of all, we want to know obviously who you are, where you're from, and why you're here. But in addition to that, why would you say a lot of uh, channelers they don't want to talk about why they're here or who they are? So let's kind of just answer that question and then go into who you are, where you're from, and why you're here.
Whenever you are asking a channeler who they are, what they are, where they come from,
Hmm.
they all have the same answer. And it is difficult for a human to understand it, that they're part of that same answer. Robin did a good job of explaining that there is one source that you call God or all that is.
Hmm.
And every single one of you in every experience that you're having are an emanation of that God or that source, you see. And you have the same power that your gods do or whatever you would deem God to have, you see.
Hmm.
And so when we were asked, we decided, Robin asked it so many times, we decided to explain it to her in a little bit of detail that she did. She called forth these individual lifetimes that represented places or pieces of her that she felt were missing, that she had not
Hmm.
experienced in her human form. You see.
Yeah.
And so I, Athena, I am the one doing the transmission, and I did live the life of Athena, you see. It is what uh, one of, let's say one, yes, of the most prominent or noteworthy lives that I ever lived. And you've all lived many. Many of you have been famous and not even known it. See?
Hmm.
And so we're not here to brag about who I am, what I am, where I am. But Robin is correct in letting you humans know that you call to yourself what it is that you are wanting. And that includes, if you want to be a channeler, that includes what you want to feel as a person. What are you missing? What do you wish you had more of?
Hmm.
This is what you can call to yourself from all that is, from the source. Because when the two of you transition, all that you have ever been and lived will
Hmm.
reunite back into all that is. And all that is will absorb every bit of that content. And it's available to every single emanation that has ever lived on this plane or any other, you see, as a rock, as a tree, all of it. It is all part of all that is, you see. And so these emanations, these experiencers for all that is, are the one thing, but they have an individual aspect or signal. We have to use that term. That it is what attracts or makes them known to all that is. Your vibratory level, you see, your signal is individualistic. I think you would agree, Heidi, that there is no one. We've had this conversation before. Many of you may not think you are important, but you are, because who could have every single experience and every choice that you have ever made is always going to be different than everybody else. You have added something, whether you know it or not. You are an experiencer that is sovereign, that has done something that's different than every other emanation. Do you understand us? This is an important factor because many humans will think they're not worthy if they haven't become something great. And we want to tell you that everything you do is great. Every experience that you contribute is another experience that all that is hasn't had, you see. And this is why you came to the earth plane. And so why did we come, Heidi?
Yeah.
Because we want humans to know this about themselves. We want them to understand how vitally important they are to the expansion of the universe. And we want them to understand that the only limitation they have is the one they give on themselves, you see. That they can create anything, anywhere, anytime. You see. And this is why we have come. We want to raise the vibratory level of those that we meet with. We do it in sessions all the time. We temporarily plug them back into that high part of themselves that maybe they've gotten a little browbeaten or downtrodden or whatever you want to call it by the life experiences they're living. And they found themselves a little bit disconnected from themselves. And we have come to help lift them. And we're going to tell you it's lasting, because we are having the effect on humans when they feel themselves, when they feel the truth and the knowing of who they really are, and they start to embody that. They don't let go of it. They hang on to it. And this is our main goal or mission, you see.
That's a good mission. I definitely I feel the truth in it, and it also feels good. And I think back to when you're younger and you see people that are famous or doing something that you think is more special than what you're doing. And I feel like through this process, this evolution process that I've been going through now for a number of years, I get less and less and less envious of that type of thing, because I just feel like, you know, when you say your best state to be in is joy, and when you're doing something that you love doing, and you feel so good, that's the place to be in. Even it doesn't have to be something really huge or really important.
It does not, you see. Now we're going to go on to just a little bit of a topic that we spoke to you about earlier. We made the comment, Heidi, and you were the brilliant one, really, that asked us the question about the podcast that we did, because we made a statement about everything that a human does is a distraction of their reality. And at first you questioned it, and we answered that in some great detail. And what we really wanted to explain to humans is that it doesn't matter what you're doing. When you're having an emotion surrounding it, you're in the creating mode. You are creating, you see. And the reason we brought this up in our podcast is because we want humans to understand that if you're watching a really sad movie and you're feeling as though you are part of it, that sadness is being received by all that is. It doesn't give a hoot in hell about the movie you're watching. It cares about you and what you emanate to it in that signal that we told you is you. It has track of you. Yes, it knows who you are. And so it is very important that a human realizes that when you're having a cigarette or you're having a couple of drinks or you're watching a movie or you're playing your pickleball or your tennis or you're golfing, how do you feel? Now you noticed you felt good, and that's great that you noticed you felt good, because all that is likes it when you feel good. But many of you don't realize, because you become unconscious when you are in these activities, when you don't feel good. You have a terrible round of golf. Everybody thinks you're crap. You've never been any good at anything, you see. And as you go down this road, creative road, you see, now you are attractive quality to this. And it is what the universe is going to emanate back to you, you see. And so when we tell humans that everything is an escape from your reality, and what you are escaping from is what you are creating. You are creating reality. Reality doesn't just exist. Reality is created by you see. And you have to realize that when you are doing an activity and it is just a hobby, if you're not feeling good while you're doing it, you better think about what you're doing, because this is unconscious creating. It's what it is. Mm-hmm. We are glad that you brought it to our attention so that we could bring it to the attention of our listeners.
Yes, and another thing you mentioned, which I think would be great for the listeners, is you said whenever you're doing an activity, even one that has the potential to bring you joy, you should always invite your high self to be part of that interaction.
Yes.
So that I thought was a really good point too, because then I think you're paying more attention and trying to hold yourself to a higher state rather than allowing yourself to dip if you're having a bad day.
Yes.
On whatever it is that you're doing.
All that is here for you see. Those emotions that you're feeling, that negativity, that I'm not good enough, I'm not doing well today, that's your communication from all that is. So why wouldn't you ask that communication, help me out here, help me out of this, you see? Because it wouldn't be giving you the emotion if it didn't care. It wouldn't be contacting you if it wasn't trying to move you. Humans don't use this enough. You have to ask in order to receive.
Yeah.
See? What happened when we asked to not be using so many ums when we were having our conversation?
Yeah.
The ums just fell away, didn't they?
They did.
This is how it works. So what we want you to do is start using your guidance system, people. Use it for your advantage. When you feel negative and you're doing something you should be enjoying, and maybe it's not your best day at it, we want you to communicate with that emotion. I feel what you are sending me. Yes, this is a belief that I have about myself. Where are you, high self? Get in here. Help me out.
Yeah. So why do you think it's important that from our human perspective, we want to name you guys?
From the moment that you have a child, what is the first thing you are thinking about?
Well, yeah. What are we going to call? Yeah.
Name it.
Yeah. Yep.
It is mine, belongs to me, you see. But it is your human concept of not oneness. It is your human concept of being separate, you see. Now, we know that when you got to holler for somebody in the house, you want to have something that they are going to respond to. We are not making fun of the idea that you have names. You see. But our name doesn't really matter, does it? Because we are an emanation that includes you and all that is. When you leave this plane of existence and you reemerge back into the source, what you call God, you will have access to everything, because now you are part of that source. But you will maintain your experiential individuality that you use again and again and again and again as your addition to all that is. Did that answer the question that you were asking?
It does. I mean, I definitely feel like from our limited perspective, we kind of feel like names are necessary. I mean, I realize that you don't, but I think for us, it helps us to distinguish.
We cooperated quite well in the beginning. Actually, 10 of the entities that have communicated through Robin have been named. It would be difficult for her to be pulling up names every time she feels a different one coming through her. However, Athena is doing a good job of merging all of these consciousnesses together and communicating really one thing. With all the thinkers.
Right.
But we understand. But really, in our case, naming came into play as an identification of the energy or the level of energy based upon the experience or life experiences that the entities have had, you see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And actually, the names that we have brought forth have been names in physical form, you see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So why do you think humans are drawn to, I mean, not all, obviously there are many humans on the planet that are not drawn into channeling, but for the ones that are, why do you think they're drawn to it?
Hmm. We would tell you, as Robin said, this Kundalini rising really creates a drive or an energy source within a human. And no one, hear this, would have a Kundalini rising if they were not intending to be in service in the lifetime that they are in, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would have to be someone that wanted to be of service or would use, let's use that term, the knowledge, wisdom, and guidance that you have for the betterment of humanity. See?
Mm-hmm. You're speaking about those that are becoming channelers or maybe want to become channelers, right? Just to
Yeah.
clarify.
And
What
also,
about,
Heidi, to clarify a little bit further, there are those that are very desiring, let's use
Mhm,
that, to become channelers, and they are very frustrated because they have not brought into fruition or into form what it is that they are wanting. But they have
yeah.
to know themselves. They have to really know why they want it, you see. And we're
Mm-hmm.
going to tell you from a very genuine point inside of Robin, there's a part of her or piece that wants to offer, that wants to give, that loves to be in service. And she's not really looking for recognition or to be put on a pedestal or to be considered to be higher than or different than
Mm-hmm.
anyone else. She knows, she understands that anyone who has this kind of desire will be pulled to it. They have the ability to do it if they would like to. And she knows that she was pulled to it by her own desire and that you too, any of you can, if you choose to. But there can be blocks or things that are within a human that they are not consciously willing, let's use that term, to look at or realize why they want it. Do they want to be in a superior position over someone? Do they want to be portraying something that no one else can have, you see? There are many things that could prevent or block what it is you are wanting, that you are entitled to have, we would say. You're entitled to have anything that you really want. But it's kind of like, we'll give you another example. This will give you a little bit of an idea. Say there is a woman working at home. Her husband makes a great deal of money and she has children to take care of, but she wants to be there. She's not working outside the home. And inside of her, she really would like a nanny. She would love a cook. She would love someone to clean her house. She can afford it. But something in her tells her to deny herself because it would be frivolous. Perhaps she never saw her mother do it or her mother-in-law or any other woman that is in her situation. And so, but all the universe cares about is what you really want. And when you deny yourself something based upon your assumption that you shouldn't have it based upon someone else's life, now the universe starts denying you your own creations. It denies you what you want. It only gets from you what it feels from you. It doesn't judge you like you judge yourself or other people judge you. It judges you solely on your own wants. So we want you humans to get this. You are sovereign. You have a life to live any way you want to. And it doesn't matter a damn bit what anyone else thinks of it or how anyone else has lived theirs. But
Mm-hmm.
if you deny yourself based upon those things, the universe will deny you what you really want in your life, you see.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be worthy enough of whatever you want. You have to own yourself, own your desires, and never base them upon what someone else is calling to themselves. This is your life, your sovereignty, your chance to express. Do it.
Mm-hmm. So what you just explained was, our individual experience as a human and what we can create. um, while we're here.
Yes.
But we are also, as you've mentioned numerous times, we're part of a oneness.
Yes.
Explain what exactly this oneness is. Help us to understand this a little better from your perspective.
Hmm. Oneness has always been and will forever be. And we know that that isn't necessarily a term or even something a human can get their mind around. It is ever changing, ever expanding in every single moment of every experience that is being had everywhere and anywhere, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at the masses, when you drive down your roads and you see the cars, when you go to the stores, when you fly in the airplanes, and when you look over the homes and the acreage and the expansion of consciousness everywhere, can you even imagine all that is? Because that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's every single thought form. You see,
Mm-hmm.
that's what all that is. And
Mm-hmm.
so all of you experiences are adding. So what are you doing here now? You are gods who have had a vision,
Mm-hmm.
imagined a life for yourself, an expansion for yourself. And now you are here upon the earth plane in this body that you helped create, by the way, in the parents that you chose for the apparatus that you now live in, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And now you are here. Here you are, wanting to bring into form what you have already imagined for yourself. And that high self says, don't worry, I'll never leave you. I'll never separate from you. You'll feel me. I'll feel really good when you're in the right direction. I'll feel really negative when you're not. You're going to know in every moment just where you're at, and I will never leave you, you see. And this is your guidance. This is what's pulling you around. This is the thing that let Robin know she was going to be a channeler. She knew it, you see. She remembered it. She knew her husband at 13 when he walked in the room. She felt the voice in her head say, there's your husband. Take a good look at him, you see.
Mm-hmm.
All of this information, if dwelled upon or called upon, is available to you. It's all there. It's already happened. It's not a desperation in human form. Will I ever get the life that I want to have? It's already up here.
Mm-hmm.
All you need to do is align to it. We just told you what alignment is. We tell humans all the time, align to your pain, align to whatever it is that you have called to yourself because you need it, you see. And what do we mean by align to your pain or your sickness or anything that you have called to yourself, your spouse you don't like, your job you don't like, something you love, whatever it is, you have to recognize everything is here for you. There's nothing happening to you. It is what you need. It is what the high self is sending you in the experience you are having to get you to the point or place that you are going to get to by having it. So start asking yourself, what am I to gain from this? Not how did this happen to me? Poor me, this random thing, this victimization I am in. Not this way. What is this experience showing me about me? What can I modify or change to get myself back on track? What is it that I need to see? What is the beauty in the experience I'm having? You see, this is how you align. Pain is a recognition of self-judgment, of this battering of oneself, not good enough, never up to standard, always demanding more, pushing oneself more, even when one doesn't want to, you see? And so you have this wonderful companion, pain, that enters into the plane of existence. Now you're part of that consciousness, you see. And we want you to understand why it's there. It's not a bad thing. It's a call to all that is. It's your call for your recognition. It's something for you, you see. Does that answer your question, Heidi?
It does. And I think that it's it's really important that we all try to be as authentic to who we came here to be, because we as authentic creators are adding so much more to the whole than if we thought, okay, 100 of us need to act this way or 100 of us need to act that way. We are adding so much more. And when you talk about how, I think in the past we've discussed how you might encounter someone that's a vibrational match to you. And it just feels really good when you're in that exchange with someone who's on your level. And I think when you get in your authentic state, I'm sure you're still attracting the vibrational matches, but I almost feel like you're even gathering more good stuff your way when you're in an authentic self state. It's like you become more and more and more of a magnet to
Yes.
draw things to yourself.
Absolutely. We want you to look at your other humans. It can be this way with everybody, Heidi. We know we have talked about those that are not for you, and then meeting someone that is for you and it feels good. But what can happen really is everyone will start to feel good as you gain this wisdom, as you gain this knowledge, this understanding of the importance of sovereignty, of the importance of expansion. You will no longer measure another up to yourself or your standards or your idea or way of doing things and think that there is somehow something wrong with them because theirs is different, you see. And eventually you will become this love machine, this traveler, this experiencer that knows the value of allowing, that knows the value of feeling good, because you're never going to disallow anyone because they are sovereign. They will continue to be who they are no matter what you do. All you're going to do is disallow yourself, you see. And
Right.
as you grasp this concept, now you're going to be this allowing, accepting, loving, creative being that in your sovereignty makes the life for yourself that you want, and that you want everyone else to have theirs too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well,
A
I
little,
think,
takes a little doing. It is a little bit of an effort for a human to really get this. They have this right and wrong in them, this good and bad in them. They do not like it when someone is moving in a way, but we would tell you almost every single time when a human judges another, they are somehow trying to uplift themselves in an area that they are feeling defeatism or not measuring up. Let's use that term. It is one of the main reasons for judgment, really, is for this reason, you see.
mm-hmm. Yes, I would agree.
Yes.
Well, I think this has been a really enjoyable and informative exchange we've had today. We already have next week's topic kind of on the agenda. We had a listener that has a question regarding illness. So we thought next week topic, we're going to discuss that, and hopefully Athena in Truth will have some tips for us on illness and how we can deal with that in our lives and other lives of our friends and family. So please feel free if you have any questions regarding that subject or any other subjects, email me at Heidi in AthenaInTruth.com. And we'd be happy to have anybody that wanted to join in on the show, just let us know and we'll make that happen. Thank you, Athena, for all your
You,
wisdom today.
you are most welcome, Heidi. We have enjoyed it as always. We would like to mention to our listeners that we have a free podcast under Athena in Truth that is available on Anchor, Spotify, and many other platforms. Please take advantage of it. We discuss a lot of valuable topics, sometimes twice a day, sometimes once every other day, depending on how often Robin asks. Then one is driven from this question. And we appreciate, Heidi, all that you do.
Thank you.
Good day.
Good day.